and blue side. So first pick red side has been a continuation for the whole series, as well as Varus and Orianna remaining banned on the counter pick side. So in this case, blue side. See where Vi ends up, too. Pantheon and Vi both up. There's a world where we could see these two picks handshaked.
So it looks like a more and more respect has been given towards On's champion pool the later we've gotten in this series. 2 bans now towards him specifically, although Shun could also pick up the Poppy here on JDG's side in this decisive game. And that's a Lucian ban as well, meaning that we're going to have a lot of these power picks all of a sudden unlocked going into this 5th game.
Lucian ban, my Callista Renata sirens are kind of going off in my head as that can make an appearance. Definitely something that I think both bot lanes could bust out, especially Viper on. As Cassante will be taken away. Azir is up for HongQ if he wants it. There is no Ziggs counter pick. There is no Poppy to play into Azir either. But this also means that Vi is on the table. That said, both picks are going to be ignored. And Renata will be secured for Vampire, teasing that early Callista Renata lane. As, again, said my sirens are going off and saw Lucian ban. Yeah, even more Callista sirens going off now for Gala and JDG.
Unless Viper wants to steal it away here, try to split up this duo. Wouldn't be very powerful on its own, though. So you'd imagine something else comes through. The Pantheon, as you mentioned, banned every single game of this series until now. It'll go into the hands of Shun.
Do we have Azir? That's the real question, frankly. Is there in Azir? Because I will say, if you leave Vi and Azir up, you gotta snag Callista if you're JDG. And I think that Viper, pretty likely here that we could see a Caitlyn. That or a Callista deny. I think Caitlyn probably the best pick into Callista that is left. Wow, they deny it. This does the... there is a world, by the way, you could run Path support with Callista and then Vi jungle if we're going to get really wild here. What does JDG want to take with Renata up? And 80's left because Aphelios is one of the better pairings. Ashe is one of the better pairings. Those are both off the table. Who else do you want to run with Renata that you can play into Callista that works? That's something where, off the top of my head, I don't really have an answer.
This draft got really weird real quick as the Callista bot lane has been split up here.
You could Xayah. I think Xayah is the best pick that's coming to mind right now, but even that's, again, kind of a weird bot lane to play out, and you'd be giving away support counter. In theory, too.
This has been more of a Viper pick here this season. The roles reversed here. Now that we get to the decider, going to be a Sivir alongside Vampire's Renata for a little extra wave clear and utility on JDG's side.
This is a hard lane. Alistar is off the table. Sivir is scared of that. I mean, probably dissuades from taking something like Callista Blitzcrank as, oh boy. You know, Yorick was banned last game by BLG themselves. Bin loves this champ. I think that he's very willing to blind it. And some of the better Yorick matchups are off the table, like Gwen. That is a real option into Yorick, not an option. We have seen Kennen played in the Yorick as well. Also gone. So Bin's Yorick now in the top lane, and a lot of side lane strength showing early on for BLG between the Yorick and also just having Callista in the game as well. As we continue to ignore and disrespect Azir.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it last game. I mean, I don't see it getting picked by either team at this point. Just seems like not something that either of them are very comfortable on. Something that I guess the league has maybe soured on a bit as well. I know it's theoretically very strong, but the win rate is not as good as you might think across competitive regions so far this season. So looks like perhaps we're leaning towards that situation and leaning towards that world. Continue to see other players and other picks that are not the mid lane getting targeted here in the second phase of bans.
Enchantresses are very good into Renata because there are worlds where you can outrange and just have better lane phases. Callista already kind of wins the lane phase in a box versus Sivir 2. Sivir has to play the wave, can't really play the matchup itself. So interested to see if there is another Enchantress ban thrown out at On to see if they can take that pool down a peg. In terms of Enchantresses, he hasn't played anything else Enchantress-wise that hasn't already been played or Fearless out of this game. Akali banned out from HongQ. I think that's kind of important to note, just given there's a Vi on the screen. Vi Akali, definitely a very sound combo to try and one-shot a champion like Kalista.
Knight Syndra rounding things out. By far his most successful champion just in terms of win rate. 49 and 16 on this pick in his career. Don't want to give that to him in a do-or-die situation. Will we see a support lock in here? Leave that last pick for Knight? Imagine.
Could Victor.
Rather advantageous, but if you got a fun blind, might as well go for it. And that's going to be an Anivia locked in for Knight in a blinded situation against JDG.
Grapes, I really don't like the fact that we just blinded Anivia. And I don't think that BLG as a team... if you're telling me that BLG is going to pilot Anivia as a team, I feel like Anivia as a champion very much doesn't fit what BLG likes to do or wants to do as a team. I always view BLG as I'm going to shove out waves, pressure the map, and attack from there. Anivia is the exact opposite of that. It's I want to lose turrets that aren't mid, so the map turtles around me, and people have to play into the pick potential, into the control that I bring, which I want to see if BLG is up to the task. As Victor picked up by HongQ was teasing that as a potential blind for Knight. HongQ's going to have range advantage and bring a lot of stability to the game on this Victor. And Xiaoxu going to pick up the Mordekaiser into the Yorick. So the option to Death Realm someone very real that doesn't really bring a lot of CC or interaction against something like Kalista, which I don't love. So I think that JDG's comp is a wee bit lacking. And is that support? Pantheon?
Sylas
Jungle Sylas?
Yeah, unless we get like Anivia support, don't necessarily expect, although as I say that, this could be particularly interesting. We're going to wait to see everything.
Are we going to kill
time
him,
out.
Bot? I would like this a lot more.
Anivia support in Game 5. Is this happening?
Anivia support's wild. I would like this more than Knight piloting the Anivia himself. If we're going to pull out this flex, this is crazy. But at least I think the R from Kalista, you can chain Anivia's Q. And this is a kill lane into Renata. Renata doesn't function well early on.
Yeah,
Kalista plus Anivia, you should be able to outrange. I think if any of these Qs hit from Anivia early, I'm expecting On to go for Electrocute and look for a kill lane.
We just got this whole draft turned on its own head with
that's a wild flex.
Sylas R5.
Yeah.
Flexing the Anivia down to the bottom lane to bait a Victor out here for HongQ. And now Knight gets the matchup that he wants on the Sylas, which you said you particularly enjoy, and you are right to do so. What a way the stage has been set. JD Gaming, a revamped roster looking for their first international appearance since 2023, whereas BLG wanting to make internationals the norm again. They disappointed at Worlds, looking for revenge. They upgrade theoretically with Viper. They bring back Shun. All the pieces seemingly lining up for a trip to the finals. Will that be the case? Or will it be JDG punching their tickets to Brazil?
No Sylas shenanigans being found early. No Ignite for On, even if he has the Electrocute. And this is the first... I'm just going to assume this is the first Anivia support we've ever had in the LPL. Because usually, if we haven't seen a pick for a while, there's like the number of days that I can see. We can be like,
No
oh,
days.
it's been that... I don't see numbers on there.
It's been an eternity.
So, yeah.
In fact, we're getting word from our production staff here. Potentially, and I think we can just say this, the first Anivia support ever in a Tier 1 league. And it's being played here by On in Game 5 of the upper finals, and they're already issuing their dominance here with the help of Viper's Kalista.
Yeah, that is lethal tempo for you right there. This is going to say BLG wins late. I very much do not agree with that graph. I think if this game goes very late, I like JDG. The fact that they have Sivir and they have a real support. I think having a real support is going to help later on, because this Anivia pick is for early game. This is for the Qs, it does have a unique interaction with Spell Shield for Gala, as the Q for Anivia has 2 parts. Yep. If you don't Spell Shield at the right time for Gala, the Q, if it goes through you, will eat the Spell Shield. And then you can still get stunned and still eat the Empowered E damage. As I'm going to pause about the bot lane tech because JunJia on the Vi, working through wolves, but Shun going to be there first.
Yeah, he hops over. Going to be secured here by JunJia. Stun lands onto him, but not much else after that. Now On is going for a bit of a roam as well.
It's just Bull given.
Seize control of this bottom lane, and that's a big win for BLG.
This could be a dive, too, which is part of why BLG is setting this up. I mean, you are Pantheon as Shun. You have that point and click that was missing in the last game that we kind of talked about. Grapes.
They can invade on their own here. As now Knight finds the Abscond ducked onto HongQ. Comet Spear out from Shun. Going cross map to try to deny as much of the invade as possible onto JunJia. Meanwhile, in the bottom lane is Viper picking up first blood with On, and HongQ gets another solo kill onto Knight.
Big solo kill from HongQ. Gala spell shielded too early, was trying to guess the Ren, didn't guess it right. Vampire had the bailout on himself, which was a little weird to see too. I don't know if that was a misclick, but meanwhile mid, it was Shun who flashed himself showing mid, but it didn't matter. HongQ able to find the solo kill in the night. That's a big surprise.
See if the interaction ends up paying off here. Yeah, the wall right into the spell shield, just too much for Gala to handle.
Yeah, and again, the bailout. Vampire, he bailouted himself. He didn't find the rip. That was a big difference. And again, I mean, this connects. There could be a world we could see Shun having a flash fall. That's not the case. Knight burns the W on the CS wave, and oh, he got stunned up. That was close. But HongQ runs him down, and Shun didn't commit the flash, didn't turn around to help out his mid laner. So Knight goes down in a bit of a funky-looking scenario mid. Bot, the kill lane, does find the 2v2 kill into the pockets of On, who is building a blasting wand. Is this going to be Roa support Anivia?
This is like what my bronze support friends will be locking in solo queue. And this is not typically what you would see in a professional game 5. I'm not gonna doubt On just yet. This guy has been a pioneer in terms of locking in unique supports throughout his career. We saw him with the Shen earlier this season. He's played things like the Elise upon their first emergence as well. So maybe this is the new tech.
Look, if I see this in solo queue, this is part of why I like to play support. Because if I take the role seriously, then I'm going to have an advantage over everyone else. Because a lot of people don't take support seriously. And I know we're in a very serious game here. But if this was solo queue, I would be... my support would not be taking this game seriously, in my humble opinion. We're just on a very aggressive time here for BLG, you know? That's the cope.
Oh, look at Shun flashing forward onto JunJia, even though Viper was very low on HP at that moment. But it does burn a flash away from the Vi. They're going to try to get this push. If that wall sent Gala back forward, could have been another kill, if not just that flash being burned.
I will be interested to see what On ends up leveling. Because in theory, you want to put points into wall, and then Q is going to give you a little bit of bonus goodies too, in terms of just more stuns in the game. Very nice for your support, but of course all the damage is on your E as the bird. So interested to see what On ends up doing there.
Crystal.
He has the mana crystal. Oh, hell yeah.
So hey, maybe he'll be useful late game. Maybe he'll be another mid laner. Maybe 2 mid laners are better than a mid laner and a support. Have you ever done that math?
No. we're learning with everyone else.
We're all learning.
Mike and eggs.
Oh, this is not going to work well, as the egg will be procced here. We'll see if JDG can finish it off, but Knight's able to do a lot of damage back on a Vampire. It'll just be the 1 kill in favor of BLG, and the bird will live.
I just watched On pretty much egg himself, and then the other support died because they tried to kill him. What an insane bait from On. Maximum outplays from the egg. He's just mogging him in the river in egg form.
Yeah, just egg mogged him.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not a kid anymore. I don't know those words.
I'm not either. I'm doing my best here, but you know.
We got ultis traded here. on the top side. Xiaoxu with the Death Realm on the bin. Forces that flash away, but still going to be able to win out on the duel. At the very least, Xiaoxu should be able to clear out a lot of these minions. Oh, actually taken very low by the ghouls. All of a sudden, Xiaoxu has to be some careful as well. It's been a back and forth game, but so far BLG are the ones in front.
Yeah, I think again, the big difference for me with this game is that JDG scales so much harder throughout this game. They have Victor mid, Sivir AD, and a real support. BLG for me are on a timer, and this 2K gold lead, but giving away the first dragon early on, I mean, I don't know if this is enough. I think it is a good start for BLG, but they really need to accelerate this game, because if Sivir is getting to the 3-4 item state in this game, if Victor is getting to the 3-4 item state in this game, I don't know if I favor BLG anymore if the game does end up going this late.
Yeah, the scaling with Kalista, Pantheon, already not great. And then you add the great scaling on JDG's side, specifically with the backline, right? Like, obviously, real support, great and all. Victor and Sivir, known for being high-quality, high-level champions once we get past the 30-minute mark, once we get those 3 items in. Obviously, it's going to take a while to get there, as Viper and On really have established dominance now in this bottom lane. Almost a 30 CS lead here for the Kalista. At
least, On might be building a Roa to help bridge the scaling on support and Nivea. That might be important as
Starfall forward. Oh, nice handshake from Vampire. Make sure that Shun has no opportunity to jump forward with that W. Might have even canceled it right off rip.
I was baby stunned too because On flashed in, and then the handshake caught On as well. So Anivia frozen by that handshake there. Wasn't able to freeze anyone else. Also, point check so far into the Anivia. On's level 5, 2 points W, 2 points E. So we'll track that throughout, because you really want to put points into the wall on Anivia, especially 2 points wall. A lot more valuable than the first point. So see what trend continues there for On. Currently, the Roa is what is continuing here. As
no, we're getting it. We're getting.
I cannot believe that BLG's coach Danny signed up for this. That's diabolical, frankly. That Roa support Anivia game 5, baby. This is the winning form. This is what we're banking our international trip on. Roa support, Anivia, baby. They first picked Renata. We deny Kalista, and then we take Anivia later in draft, guys. We flex the Anivia, all right?
So far, scoreboard's looking good. That's all I'll say. BLG up 2,000. They're going to get all 3 of these grubs. Viper, again, with that significant CS lead. Now isolated here with Gala in the bottom lane, but in the mid lane, now On's going to be in trouble again. This time, no egg by his side. And so he will meet a grim fate, cracked open and taken down by the likes of HongQ.
Oh, no eggs this morning for On, as he gets sent home without eggs. And you know, Anivia, like, part of the issue with playing Mage's bot is a lot of mages, you scale off of items, and you scale off of levels. Every level, it's not only more base stats for you, but it's more stats for whatever you put a point of your ability into, which matters a lot for mages. And when you're a support, you get less of both. Not to mention that as a support, you know, you really would like to impact the map. And On has selected a champion that has the lowest base move speed in the game. And no movement abilities on top of it. So we continue to ponder. We'll put it that way. Continue to ponder.
Just to take us all the way back to game number 1 of this series, JDG in that game, able to get a couple of dragons to stall things out, eventually get to that scaling point where they were able to take the soul. A very similar thing happened here in game 5. They got that early dragon. The second one is now spawning. I mean, if they get this one, really set up for scaling, but I mean, even that first one is able to delay a lot of what any soul win condition could look like for Bilibili Gaming.
Yeah, I don't think that this is a fight that JDG wants to sign up for. Vampire going to get caught, though.
Oh, he's trying to hold his flash. Will he be able to? No. Ends up taking a lot of his HP anyway. And that'll certainly mean this dragon goes over. Shin's going to be able to take it down.
Well set up by On. Toward 2 points of W. You know, you can make sure you close out that gap. Vampire does lose his flash. And yeah, again, I just don't think JDG ever wanted that fight. HongQ just completed his Roa. Doesn't really have any stacks to it quite yet. Victor is ahead, which is fantastic if you are JDG. a victor that is ahead is almost always it's a good feeling. You know, that guy scales pretty good. So
Hey, he got his row first.
he beat Anivia to it.
Well, he might have. Actually, I didn't see if he beat Knight, but he definitely beat the bird. Does not have that catalyst though. Okay, we've been going back and forth for a little bit. The gold remained rather consistent. We say generally that's a good sign for JDG, especially if Knight's going to be taking damage like this just to get the wave in. Ultimate was traded. So now we see Gala and Vampire trying to push this wave out. We have Shun on the way as well. They're not pushing the tempo maybe the way that we would want them to, especially with Shun on this Pantheon.
But, I mean, that's part of where I like JDG's draft and where BLG can't, is the wave clear that Victor and Sivir bring to the table, too. It really enables you to try and scale throughout the game because these two champions delete waves. It's Empower Laser for HongQ and more already. Getting early kill participation as Victor, really good for accessing those earlier ability upgrades. HongQ getting 2 kills, that really helps towards that. And then Gala, I mean, he doesn't even have an Essence Reaver yet. It doesn't matter. You can already see, you know, BLG are getting chip damage on the turret, but it's not like that turret's going to break anytime soon against Gala. So, yeah, I think that Viper is probably going to continue to build on his lead and keep it, but at some point, I just don't think a 2K gold lead for BLG is nearly far, like, it's not nearly enough, given the draft they have into what JDG is showing if they want to win this game.
Now they have the Callista, who, while also a great duelist, a great mid-game team fighter, Viper's also going to be able to secure some of these major objectives as we get later into the game. You think this Herald is something that they're going to want to fight over in 90 seconds? And if so, what's the game plan for getting Viper up to the top lane in that time?
I think that BLG gets this Herald if they want it. I think JDG drops. I think that all the control right now is in the pockets of BLG, and the way that JDG should play it is just continue to play off Vi timers and try and soak as many waves as possible for Victor Sivir. I mean, every wave that you soak, that you preserve some damage on your turret, that's just more time that you can buy throughout the game. Try and keep on scaling. Try and play this one calm, cool, and collected. I think that the biggest fear I have for JDG, honestly, is if Bin gets completely out of control. Because if the Maiden starts running rampant in the side lane, then that's, I think, the biggest problem that can happen. And I mean, Bin has a small lead, but it's nothing that Mordekaiser or Xiaoxu can't handle yet.
I think you could argue the biggest that BLG has been challenged so far in the playoff bracket entering this upper final was Game 1 against Weibo. Just 1 round to go.
Yeah.
And that one ended because Bin ended up TPing into the base, backdooring, securing a win for themselves, and they did not look back afterwards. Obviously, very different situation here, but maybe Bin trying to emulate some of that success once more. As the Rift Herald is about to spawn, BLG certainly positioned nicely around it. Knight is TP in the bottom lane if he wants to end up joining the fray, but it should just be Shun starting this up and taking it down with the help of his bottom lane.
JunJia doing his best to get some control over this. Ward snuck in by Vampire. On's going to pop the sweeper. Meanwhile, Trade's top. Maiden's been dropped. Death Realm used.
Just going to delay. And meanwhile, it's going to be Knight teleporting in to be able to join his top laner upon his emergence from the Death Realm. Xiaoxu didn't even see it coming and will go down in a 3v1.
HongQ going to drop his ult. JunJia going to hit the wave. And again, I just think that drafts, champion strength at the moment, really hard to play Herald for JDG. Some pressure being thrown around here by both teams. It ends in Xiaoxu drawing out, I mean, pretty much 3 ultimates there as he goes down top. That was a lot used. I think any question of BLG, you know, not being able to have enough to tank to finish the Herald, again, it kind of answered by champ strengths and Viper making his way on up here. So Gala gets a wave or 2 for free on the bot side, gets a plate or 2 to himself, and that's Herald taken. And the fight taken by BLG.
Those were resources utilized. You know, you had the Grand Starfall, the teleport from Knight as well. Gala was able to clear out a couple of waves, get back into this game a little bit. Again, late game insurance policy is him, is Gala here for JDG. One of the more consistent players, especially in the beginning of the regular season for this squad. One of the bigger free agents that was picked up within region. Obviously, JunJia and HongQ were big as well, but Gala, one of the first names to fall in terms of LPL players over from IG and JDG. Certainly have valued his services so far and are looking to see him outplay Viper here in this Game 5.
is the team captain, which actually has some ramifications in the LPL, as I think there are more interview media requirements for those guys. Another dragon going over to JDG is concerning for me, though.
Yeah, they're going to drop it. I mean,
yeah.
Xun is nowhere nearby.
What gold can BLG get off this? Doesn't look like they want to use the Herald quite yet. Also, On is still level 6.
6?
I feel like he hasn't moved an XP in the last 5 minutes, which, again, is a problem, because as an Ivia, you do really want levels. Like,
well, don't worry, Cubby, because in 6 minutes, he'll have an extra level.
He's got a roll. He has a freebie. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's all he's diminishing the value of that by not getting levels now, by the way. But, you know, that's... We played Nivea support, so we signed up for this.
I suppose so. That lead that was once very large for Viper and On, suddenly beginning to dwindle. The one area of the map where JDG does have control in terms of the gold department is HongQ against Knight in the mid lane. Remember, this was the matchup that we really highlighted at the start of this series, Cubby. The younger mid laner from the LCP coming in to face off against the greatest mid laner the LPL ever has had. And again, so far, it's been HongQ with that success. Even if you take into account both games that JDG have lost and both games JDG have won today, still the highest win rate mid laner out of anybody with at least 5 games played against Knight at 6-3. This game is going to make or break that a little bit, but regardless, just a great way to start off his career and a sign of a lot of good things to come, whether it comes in this game or not.
Honestly, want to see if HongQ and JDG can show a bit of flexibility here, because I know we talked about how as this game goes on, their comp scales really nicely, and we favor them if this thing goes late, for a lot of reasons. But we've also harped on the fact that JDG, their team identity, really is built around HongQ being the player that is going to move from mid lane, going to impact the map and be damn good at it. Victor's not that champion. You're playing for lane, you're playing to scale. So far, he's done a nice job of getting resources for himself, even if he's going to have to give away some here, as Herald was dropped topside for BLG as they secure the top outer turret for themselves.
Fate's Call was used to get On out of a sticky situation. BLG, though, utilizing their power in terms of gold at the moment. Issue pressure into 2 lanes at the same time. Bin shoves another wave into mid. Not going to be able to take the turret, but at least gets another plate off of it. Meanwhile, the top lane tower was taken by Shelly herself. Her last appearance for the duration of this best of 5. It's been a good one so far, Cubby, and just the way this game is going, we are getting to a position where one major fight could make or break the last 5 hours of effort that both of these teams have put.
Okay, if I'm JDG, I'm trying to kick that can down the road as far as I can. I think the fact that JDG have picked up 2 dragons so far in this game, that's 10 minutes bought. If you look at it through that lens, for champions like Victor, like Sivir, that's massive. So, JDG, we're 2 minutes away from this next dragon spawning. I wouldn't even sniff that. Like, I'm not sniffing that unless BLG decides to rip a Baron. I'm dropping that one for sure. Just play to get as many items as you can on Victor Sivir, because frankly, with these champions, I think you don't want to... Like, your fight becomes much more favored towards JDG and these champs once you get to the 3-item mark. It looks like Gala is going to go for likely IE or Pen on the 3rd item. Leandri's will be really nice for the Victor here for HongQ, but just keep on playing for farm against the Silas, who is going to be really strong on 2 items too. Why not? So, yeah, if I'm JDG, this dragon's a minute 25 away. I would not be thinking about this dragon at all. I'd be thinking about how I can preserve life on the turrets and funnel waves into my carries.
Right now, the carries for JDG not as strong as Viper and Knight. You see that 2nd item, Rageblade, picked up for Viper as well. Very much in a good position.
TP.
Meanwhile, we have a 2v1 opened up here. In the bottom side is Bin, has the Death Realm issued onto him, and the rest of JDG's rolling up to make it an unfair fight. Once he re-emerges, getting a bit of a taste of his own medicine is Bin, as it'll be a shutdown picked up for the Vi.
Don't agree with Bin burning the flash there. He was against 4. Is trying to buy as much time as he can for Knight, who with 3 grubs has been able to get 4 plates for himself and a lot of work on that top inner turret. And frankly, with Bin going down then, maybe there's a look at this dragon. Bin does have TP available. No flash, no maiden though. As JDG going to reset to fix top lane and maybe again fish at this dragon. I still don't like this fight very much for JDG. I still think it's a pass for me if I'm in their shoes, but maybe they get Bin's TP for it. Let's kind of see what they want to do around this one.
The gold lead maintaining around 2,000. Is that enough? Is the question. It continues to look more and more like no as the clock continues to tick. Dragon is spawned. It would be sole point for JDG if they pick this up. Bin has reemerged from the death chamber and is back in the bottom lane. Would be a 5v5 overall if this fight does end up getting started. And Cubby, as you mentioned, would be very risky for JDG to start this right now.
Victor can poke a bit. They just like On has river control, and it's so hard to walk into Anivia here. I think looking at Vi's the wrong person. Look at Sivir, look at Renata, look at Victor. Can you keep these champions out? That's where Anivia is going to have more value. But BLG, Bin's pushing bot, mid's a handshake. BLG have yet to start this objective as JunJia getting very aggressive here as they play for this bot side embankment rush.
A risky play, but it looks like JDG do not want to sit and wait for the next dragon. They want this one right now. A big Glacial Storm is here for On, but he gets crowd controlled and Fate Sealed back in. Gonna be a big hostile takeover. It lands onto Bin, but already JunJia has gone down. Viper's picked up his first kill. Knight's in the Death Realm. He dashed away with the Abscon, but the dragon's already gone. The way of Bilibili. They are able to even up the count and now looking for advantage in numbers. Onto Xiaoxu they go with the Grand Starfall, and the Mord is now down. 2 kills in the hands of BLG, and they might have just found their opening.
Again, for JDG, I'm kind of down with them fishing around, using Victor lasers to poke. Maybe you can get something, but committing to the full fighter into the river is a little risky. On's going to fall.
It's on to On. The Anivia egg is still popping. It's not down just yet. Finally, the Boomerang Blade will take it, but HongQ will die in response. Viper gets on the board once again, and now Knight's hungry for more. Takes Vampire down, and it's 4 kills in the extended fight for BLG.
A lot of gold picked up for BLG as they're pushing that lead towards the 5K mark on top of evening up the Dragons, which we expected. But again, you can kind of see the strength, the composition still showing those items as they're rolling in for JDG. Things are getting better, but they're not stronger yet. And the fight for BLG was good. Bin's Yorick got through the entire fight, was able to operate, and was really the big difference maker on the back half as being that immovable frontliner.
And you have to wonder why JDG decided to commit this far forward. It looked like maybe On was the target, but he gets Kalista ulted right out. And then the rest of the fight's just a mess.
Yeah, it was kind of weird as we had the double Death Realm. The hostile takeover didn't get a ton of value as JunJia ended up taking a one-way trip into Viper. And then Bin, he gets the Maiden up, and he can't be moved. Like, that JDG frontline cannot move the Yorick at all, so just gets to keep on walking forward. Panthalt wasn't used either. He comes in over the top, and that was the initial win for BLG. JDG then on the numbers disadvantage did give away a little bit more. And that's a lot of gold that went over to Viper. He's coming out of the fights, the replays. It's a 1.7k gold lead for Viper. 2k now on paper, but 3 items in the inventory. That's where the real damage is going to be done because Gala is going for Pen on his 3rd item. Further delays the Infinity Edge where you get that big spike as an 80 carry. And Viper definitely in a sweet spot right now, seeing at 3 items being ahead of the curve.
JDG still looking for a play here. They're going to find Shun out in a 2v1. HongQ going to join as well. This Pantheon is in some severe danger. Bin's on the way, but it's going to be the Arcane Storm to take him down. A big shutdown into the hands of HongQ, but Baron is suddenly getting pinged at. Wouldn't make sense for BLG to take it with their jungler down.
Oh, I thought he flashed. There was kind of a visual bug there at the end. That was a funky one. I mean, that's a nice gap, though, for JDG. Like, a lot of times when you're on the back foot in these games, you do have to find those small windows where you can still be aggressive to get stuff. It's not about just sacking. You got to find those windows where you can step forward and get a little something done. So, nice window found by JDG. They get a small shutdown on the Shun, and they get information on Knight and kind of where BLG are thinking in that top side. So they know they're not on the Baron, and they're safe to operate as is as they continue to suck up waves and get more gold onto those carries.
We're at 26 minutes. The rods have been stacked. Items are really starting to come into play here, but BLG maintain their lead of about 3,500 gold. In the side lanes, particularly, their advantage remains as they await another fight, potentially around this dragon in 90 seconds. Maybe this time JDG feel confident to go back in and engage once more.
Again, that engage for JDG too, kind of lacking. Like they're trying to make up for it with the Sivir move speed in a way, right? trying to make, because it really is just JunJia that has the big engage or big engage tools. You can Death Realm to take someone away. Hostile Takeover is nice, but it really only is an engage tool. If you can do that, then flash forward. So not a ton of tools to engage. Fortunately, BLG, their comp, is going to be moving forward and playing into what JDG wants to do. But I think the biggest fear, again, is the fact that Bin is getting really big in the side lane. And Yorick is tough to deal with. Gala on the Sivir will be able to deal with Yorick later on in the game, but we're still at the item break point and the part of the game where I just think that the Maiden is so scary on Bin. And Bin very, very good at Yorick and controlling the pet and the Maiden and making sure that he's doing his best job at putting down pressure and then being effective in the team fights. He really, really plays his champion well.
It's a fine line between having a strong presence in a side lane and being able to still join your team for the eventual 5v5 engages. And Bin always has done a good job of navigating that, utilizing his teleport to the best effect. This time, looks like he's with the squad. He wants to make sure his team's able to pick up Chemtech's soul point. I feel like JDG should have learned their lesson by now. It would be very risky for them to enter at this point, but it looks like instead they will go for the fight. JunJia has his smite available. He's stolen a number of objectives already in this series. Can he find it again? No. It's immediately bursted down by BLG without much to say about it. Wall cuts off Vampire for a little bit, but JDG are still hunting. They're still looking for a fight. Knight goes for the chain, not going to find it onto Gala, but he's still being singled out. Death Realm onto Shun, on tank very low, with that Arcane Storm starting to do a lot of damage. The egg is out, but now HongQ is trapped into the Bin's burst. There goes Viper, gets the kill onto Gala, and that might be the fight that breaks the camel's back. Knight is going to be able to run Xiaoxu down, and JDG had their fun, but now it's time to bow down to the Knight that rules this realm.
30 seconds on Gala. I think 4 is enough for BLG as the supported Nivea is going to find the Game 5 win, the flex pick, and again, JDG, they kind of lacked engage with his composition. I think they played this one too fast. I think they didn't wait for their windows to come to them and BLG punish.
It's 5 seconds on Vampire, 10 seconds on Gala. That should just be it. Bilibili Gaming, they retooled their roster. Wow. They repaired their mistakes, and now they want revenge internationally. 3-2 over JDG, and they're headed to first stand.
Viper, welcome to the first stand from the LPL. BLG being there, I think that's big ups to everyone that's at the tournament. It's another great competitor in Knight to see if he can finally do the damage internationally that he's really been looking to do in his career to cement himself as not just an LPL legend, but a legend of the game. We think that he has it in him as a player. He's had some international success, but even more at first stand would be huge. And man, the tweet grapes of the LPL runs through Knight, LCK runs through Chovy, LEC runs through Caps, and the LCS runs through Inspired. If you look at the last 3, 4 years, 5 years of history between all these regions, it has been these players where if you want to hoist those domestic trophies, you got to go through them. All 4 and their teams are at first stand respectively now. And HongQ and JunJia still have a chance in the lower bracket to make sure that those LCP representatives and JunJia running that region when he was there can even make it the first stand too.
We got one more chance. It's going to come in the lower finals against the winner of AL and Weibo. AL and Weibo, that series is happening tomorrow. Should be a good one as well. But BLG, they defy any odds that were stacked against them. They are able to overcome those gold leads that they threw away and gave JDG the opportunity to pull into match point. And they're able to take control of those early games and really not let go. Over those last 2 matchups, they figured out how to control the macro game. And I think on the other side of things, JDG, as you mentioned, felt like they had the scaling in that Game 5, and they opted not to use it, instead going for Dragon Flips 2 straight times before their AD carry and Gala had 3 items.
Yeah, I really feel like the 3-4 item mark was big in that last fight. Yes, they had 3 items, but the gold that they gave away to get there with that last dragon, I think it was a big pickup, big secure by BLG. I mean, Baron was never taken in that game, but even just the Baron bait from BLG, turned that scenario where JDG was down numbers into even more gold for BLG. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's huge ups to first stand just as a tournament. Having BLG there, they've proven that they are one of the stronger teams that we have in the LPL. And man, JDG, It's been a good playoff run for them. I really felt like their run to get here, they were tested more. It fell short against the best test so far for BLG, and that's a scary place to fall short because I think that a lot of people at home still favor AL in that rematch if we do get one between them and JDG, as there are 2 slots to first stand. So JDG, they have one more best of 5 to try and make it the first stand against the winner of AL versus Weibo that is played tomorrow.
That's what's so exciting about this JDG lineup, though. They went through their growing pains throughout the regular season. They started off hot, then maybe slowed down in the back half, and I feel like every single series that they play, they're learning a little bit more and a little bit more about themselves and also how to play together. And this is not just for this split, but for the splits to come. I mean, we saw this happen with a team like Anyone's Legend as well throughout their progression in 2025. That could be what JDG are able to do here in 2026, and we'll see what that lower bracket matchup ends up holding. But I feel like JDG fans, they have something to be excited about here this year. Obviously, still a tough task ahead of them to get to first stand specifically, but a lot of League of Legends left to play for them to make another return to that international stage.
I just can't believe that they ended up losing to Roa Anivia support, as, oh boy, that was, man, tough way to go. I think JDG, again, played their way back into that series decently, but frankly, BLG were the team that deserved the win on the day, which that takes a lot of good play for me to say, as I still remember game 1, where they decided to take Baron over Hextech Soul and rightfully lost. But BLG, they won all 5 early games. I think BLG, better team on the day, ended up booking their ticket to first stand early as they take the win.
Yeah, I mean, again, these are fights that doesn't feel like JDG necessarily have to take. You can see some of the vision here. Try to lock down Shun.
This was Gala. Gala just kind of butchered this fight. Yeah, because he walked straight into the egged up Anivia. Yep, you can egg it. And didn't have spell shield / doesn't spell shield the knockup. Yeah, that was, I think Gala had a bit of a rough series, honestly, in hindsight. And that was not a fight that he went through well. Frankly, one that he wants back. I will say that on Sivir, you want people around you that can take up space. And I know that Game 5 Fearless options get limited. But Sivir Renata's not going to be one to take up space. Hostile Takeover does take up some space for you, but just don't think that those were dropped in good enough places between Vampire and Golem where they're standing. And yeah, Sivir not doing a lot of damage in that game. Definitely a lower damage game overall, especially looking at Knight, whose damage was big. I mean, all that probably came from team fights for Knight, so you got to keep that one in mind too. But man, kind of a crazy day, Grapes, looking back, because I really felt like JDG coming in, again, had the harder road to get here. I think there was an argument where they could have been favorites on the day, but on the back half of the day, it feels like BLG is still the team to beat here in the LPL, and that bit of a cakewalk of a run they had in their side of the bracket, not punishing them, going up against JDG, who, again, were much more tested in 2 5-game series against perceived stronger opponents in top esports and AL versus BLG. You kind of beat up on Weibo and IP, but had a good day today against JDG and found the win.
I think the one thing that really has been established by watching these games and watching this playoff bracket over the last couple of weeks is we kind of came in to this year with the expectation that it'd be really a 2-horse race to the top, right? AL, BLG, we all had them 1 and 2. This playoff bracket has taught us there's another team in there at the very least, and his name is JDG. Maybe you throw Weibo in there. Maybe you give him a bone for how they were able to perform in some of their games. But JDG just played 5-game series against both BLG and Anyone's Legend, and they could potentially have another one or 2 lined up in their near future. That's a good sign of things to come for the strength and the parity here in the LPL.
Yeah, I mean, LPL, there was a lot of change in the league this year, and I think HongQ and JunJia entering the league, I mean, 2 fantastic additions looking abroad, but also even thinking about some of the other teams like Weibo being top 4, bit of a surprise. Weibo always a bit sneaky in terms of how they make their way into random parts of the bracket. I'm still thinking back to last year and Xiaoxu finding a lot of success on Morgana mid when that was the flavor of the month pick. But yeah, LPL, I mean, it's always exciting. That's why we're fighting these dragons, this Sivir Victor. We got to keep things exciting, you know?
Yeah. Some of these macro decisions going to come back and haunt JDG, who played such a great series from a macro perspective, especially through the first couple of games. Remember, it was JunJia going in, stealing dragons, getting these souls, keeping their team alive in some of these games, got them to that 2-1 series lead. But BLG able to answer back with strength and definitely owning the early game throughout the day, particularly over those last two. Were able to hold on and not let go, make sure they get another trip to the LPL finals and a chance to try to defend their title, something that they won back in summer of 2025.
Well, Grapes, I don't have too much else tonight.